Today, we are categorizing all 67 Brunswick bowling balls that are currently in production. This is a series that we're trying to run every 6 months or so, where we are going to categorize every single bowling ball that Brunswick has to offer right now in our 6 categorizational scale. What we do on the channel is we have 6 different categories that bowling balls fit into, trying to determine what their shape will be and when they're best used. We have strong and sharp, medium smooth, medium sharp, weak smooth, and weak sharp. And we're going to put every single bowling ball that Brunswick has to offer into this categorical scale, plus where they pit against each other. So the further a bowling ball is left on the scale, that's the earlier it's going to be. It's going to be earlier than every other ball to the right of it. So we're going to go from left to right on this scale, and we're going to start the strongest in each category down to the weakest ball. Now, this is a lot of bowling balls to put on a list. Apologies if the visual doesn't look too great, but if you enjoy these videos, make sure to subscribe. It's the best way to help me out and help support the channel so that I can keep making videos like this one. But let's get into it with the strong and smooth category. One final preface, this list won't be 100% accurate. Have I thrown every ball on this list? No. Are there some that are going to be so close together that you could probably flip them around? Absolutely. So remember, take it with a grain of salt, but let's get into the strong and smooth, kicking off with the strongest ball that Brunswick has to offer. That is the Hammer Maximum Effect. This is a brand new bowling ball just releasing. Hybrid bowling ball, but that's a little bit like odd because it still hooks so early. And if it was a solid version, it would be the earliest ball in bowling by a landslide, but that hybrid helps get it a little further down lane, but still is the strongest ball that Brunswick has to offer because of that insanely strong core and insanely strong effect cover. Next up was the former #1 strongest ball on the Brunswick list, the Mesmerize. This ball's still around, over a year old at this point. Really high differential on this ball to make it flare an absolute ton. It's going to be more angular than a lot of the other balls in this category, but it's still super early, kind of a unicorn in that way. Then moving on is going to be the Track Criterion. This is going to be a lot smoother than the first 2 balls on the list. It's not going to make a super angular motion, but it does hook a little bit later than the first 2 that we mentioned. The Criterion's also on super sale right now, so if you want the cheapest ball on the list, that's going to be it. Next, we're going with the Paragon Shadow. The Paragon Shadow has that super strong Paragon core from a couple of years ago, but with a hybrid cover stock that wants to help get it further down lane, and it actually makes it a little bit more angular than you'd expect. I originally thought this ball would be smoother, everyone did, but it really isn't. It is a step down from all these guys and a little bit more angular, so you could have Criterion into Paragon as a very close 1-2 combo, but they do make different shapes, so not the worst thing in the world. Next is one of the best looking bowling balls that Brunswick has, and that's the Radical Outer Limit Solid. This ball for the first 50 or so games is one of the strongest balls you can throw, why it's here on the list, even though the core isn't absurdly strong. However, after that 50-ish game mark, 100-ish game mark, it really slows down in reaction. It really ends up falling down a category. So this is going to be a fresh outer limit. Is going to be in the strong smooth list. This is probably the ball that dies the quickest out of every one on this list. Next is the Columbia 300 Rally, otherwise one of the other speed bowling balls that's been coming out in the last couple of years. Same exact core and cover at the end of the day. But it does want to hook much earlier than everybody expected it to. I believe it's a hybrid, so people thought it would hook a little later, but no. This core and cover wants to pick up really early and again be a little bit quicker, kind of like a Paragon Shadow, but like a tiny step down. Next is one of my favorites on this list, and also one of the cheapest again, is the 3D Offset Assault. This ball is being overlooked right now. It's a hammer bowling ball. It is a hybrid, however, this ball's really strong. Really strong cover, really strong core, but really has a better rounder shape for an asymmetrical ball. For asymmetrical balls, you can have them be very directional, where they see friction, you watch them turn and roll forward, or you can have them much rounder, acting like a symmetrical ball. And that's where this 3D offset really is. It acts like a symmetrical ball, but it is an asym, and it is a little bit stronger than a lot of those symmetricals we'll talk about later. Next is one of the toughest ones to categorize because the core numbers change drastically how you drill it, but just on the pre-drilling numbers, the zigzag solid fits next. This core, again, is highly versatile. I believe this was an old Mo core, where if you drill it pinned down or drill it weaker, the core drops significantly, but if you drill it stronger, the core bumps up significantly. So I think it fits kind of on this lower half of the strong and smooth list, just based on the core and the pre-drilling core numbers. Next is another newer one. It is the Guru Oracle. This ball hooks way earlier than people thought it would, but it still is kind of lower on this strong and smooth list because Brunswick has so many super strong bowling balls on the market right now. The Guru Oracle has a much lower differential. It is a remake of those old Guru bowling balls that a lot of people loved, a little bit cheaper as well, but it still doesn't hook as early as some of the other things on this list. However, if you want a strong bowling ball that's better on a house shot, that's where this Guru excels. We're getting to the point in the list where these balls that we're talking about now are going to be more usable on a house shot or a league shot and not just determined for a sport shot or a high volume pattern. Coming up next is Deviate's strong solid ball, and that is the Heckler. The Heckler was kind of like a half remake of the Hater to a certain degree. It basically took the spot of the Hater, where it is that asymmetrical solid core cover combo. However, the core is that little bit weaker. It has a higher RG, gets it to push further down lane. This was a two-handed bowling ball where the core was made for two-handers, where the core numbers don't change much if you only put 2 holes in it compared to putting 3 holes in it for all the one-handers. This ball is really good. I think it's a fantastic strong and smooth ball. It's dirt cheap right now. It's probably about to be discontinued if it hasn't already without anyone knowing it, but it is still a good piece. Speaking of good pieces, we have the Black Widow 3.0 coming up next. This is one of the highest selling bowling balls of the last couple of years. I believe it was the highest selling in 2024, but it is just a fantastic strong and smooth ball. It's on the weaker end, even though that differential is so high on it. It just has a slightly weaker cover to it, so it does want to hook a little bit later than a lot of the other things on the list. It is that good ball down for a lot of speed dominant guys, but for a lot of rev dominant, this can be the highest ball on your list and you'll be a-okay. The Black Widow is, of course, one of the best names in bowling, so we know all about it. Last in the strong and smooth category is the special effect. This is a shiny, solid effect, has that super strong Huntsman core while it has a shiny, weaker cover stock to it. Not weak enough to push it into strong shiny, still keep it in strong smooth, but it is still that shiny solid. Little bit of the weirder one on the list. Not many people like this ball, honestly, which is a little unfortunate. That is it for the strong and smooth category. There's a lot on this list. Like I said, 67 bowling balls is a ton. But now we're going to move to strong and sharp. These bowling balls are going to be a little bit more angular than the previous ones we mentioned. And this list kind of just continues based on what bowling balls are on the market, but it's easier just to split them. So moving on to the first one on the list is the Brunswick Hypnotize. This is basically just a hybrid Mesmerize. Nothing too special about it. It acts more like a Mesmerize than a Vaporize. Super high differential, super strong cover stock, even though it's hybrid. It almost could fall in the strong and smooth category, but I like to keep it on the top end of the strong and sharp because it still wants to be quick. It has that HK22C at the end of the day. Next is one of the more forgotten bowling balls on the list is the Ebonite Entity. This ball came out and got completely ignored the second that it came out. It's a little unfortunate. Pretty weak asymmetrical core, but it also has a stronger cover stock to it. It falls right below the Hypnotize. They basically are the same bowling ball in a lot of ways. The Entity might be a little bit quicker down lane, but really it's potato potato. Then moving on is the Brunswick Infinity Quest. The Brunswick Infinity Quest is a shiny solid. The Quest core, Infinity core, is very, very weak. Very weak asymmetrical core, but that cover wants to hook kind of early, even though it's polished. So it fits right below that entity. It fits as a good 1-2 combo with a lot of the strong smooths. And if you only need one asim, this could be a good option. Next is the Radical Power Hitter. We don't see much about this ball. It's just kind of there. It's a hybrid hitter. If you like the hitter pearl, you want something earlier and smoother, get the power hitter. Otherwise, get something else on the list. Next is a Severe Collision from Deviate. This is another high, strong core ball with a medium-ish cover to it. A lot quicker than a lot of the previous balls that we mentioned, but still super strong. Wants to pick up early because that core is so strong and wants to flare so much. Next is the new one. The One Ovation is brand new. It's a hybrid with the One bowling ball. However, it's shiny, unlike its predecessors. This ball still wants to hook early because it is the strongest core in bowling. 246 RG, 056 diff, and a super high, I believe, 026 intermediate diff. So strongest core in bowling. They put a slightly weaker cover on it, but it still wants to be high up on this list. Next is everybody's favorite Hammer Effect. The Effect is right in the middle of the strong and sharp category. Stronger core, stronger cover. However, it does still get down lane. It is the first rendition of the HK22C. Everybody still loves the Effect. That's probably what a lot of you have if you're watching this video. There's a little bit of a gap between the effect and the new ball, which is the Radical Torpedo. Again, completely forgotten bowling ball. Unfortunately, just nobody knows what this thing does. The direct hit shockingly took more of the publicity, where the torpedo just got left out. So if you don't want the effect, but you want something similar-ish, grab a torpedo. Otherwise, it's going to get on super sale within like 3 months. The most underrated ball in this category is the Brunswick Combat. This thing acts like an Evoke Hysteria. It is a really, really good ball, a lower than an effect, stronger than some of the new balls that we're going to mention in a little bit, but it is round, very round, kind of like what I mentioned earlier. It acts like a symmetrical ball, but with that stronger engine, that stronger core, stronger cover. Now we have three bowling balls that are very close together. Coming in first is the Criterion Hybrid. This ball is very quick down lane, gets a little bit further down lane, but it's still a hybrid, so it wants to pick up earlier than the next two that we're going to mention. However, it is still a super quick bowling ball. It fits that later half of the strong and sharp category. A lot of people are liking it right now. Again, though, I feel like it's going to be on sale sometime soon. Next is the one that everybody here knows, and that is the Black Widow Mania. The Black Widow Mania falls right next to the Criterion Hybrid. They are so similar. The Mania is just a Pearl version of the Black Widow 3.0, HK22C, which everybody was asking for. Really cool blue colorway. This is probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular ball of all of these 67 right now on the list. Next is something that hooks a little bit later and a little bit quicker, Hater Pearl. Hater Pearl was dubbed as a super angular bowling ball. It's not as angular as they mentioned because the core is a little stronger, but it is a high RG. It is that Hater core. If you liked the Hater, this is a really good option. It's a ball that, again, is getting overlooked quite a bit, and it is a good step right below the Black Widow Mania, but they are very close. Coming up next is the One Reverb. This is a Pearl version of the One Ovation. Same exact cover concept, just the Pearl version instead of hybrid. So this one hooks a lot later than a lot of people thought, even though the core is so strong. It is super strong core, pretty weak cover stock, so a little bit of a mismatch. A lot of people here like the Reverb, especially because it is that little bit cheaper. Next is a ball that probably is going to be going away sooner rather than later, Black Widow 2.0 Hybrid. This thing has been around forever. However, it has a pretty weak cover to it, and it doesn't have that HK22C at all, so it hooks a little bit later than a lot of the other things on the list. A lot of people know and love the Black Widow 2.0 Hybrid. I'd recommend picking one up soon because it's been out for 2 years. It's got to be going soon. Next is one of my favorites on the list, the Brunswick Vaporize. It is a step down from the Combat, where it is also that rounder shape like a symmetrical ball, but then it is a little bit weaker. It's kind of like Brunswick's version of the Attention Star is the best way that I see it. I personally have one in my bag at all times. Love this thing to pieces. Finally is the best ball in 2024. That was the Track Theorem. The Track Theorem is a really weak hybrid cover with a weaker core to it, asymmetrical core. However, it is the weakest ball on the list, right below the Vaporize. Really good house shot bowling ball. A lot of you out there, again, know and love the Theorem line. All right, we are 28 bowling balls down. Next, we are moving to the benchmark category, the medium and smooth slot. This is generally going to be the middle part of your bag. This is going to be the first ball you bring out of your bag, so you know if you need to go to a strong asim solid or if you need a ball down to something a little bit weaker. This list has a lot of bangers on it, so be ready for that. This is my personal favorite category from the Brunswick brands. They have a lot of good bowling balls, but this medium smooth slot is generally just the best. So we're going to kick it off with ball number one. And this is a little different from some of the other lists we've made, but ball number one is the stealth mode. The stealth mode is so strong. I always forget how strong that bowling ball is, but it is insanely strong, insanely slow. It really reminds me of an NV Tour, just a very slight step down because it's symmetrical instead of asymmetrical. Right below it is the Theorem Solid. Theorem Solid is super strong yet, but it's a lot better of a house shot ball than a sport shot ball, whereas the stealth mode is a perfect tournament bowling ball. The Theorem Solid still is a little bit quick down lane because it is asymmetrical, has that Theorem core, a little bit weaker asim core, but it still wants to hook super early. The Theorem Solid might be ball of the year too. There's a lot of people who adore this thing to pieces, so watch out for that. Next is a new one in the Mantra Solid. Mantra Solid has another weaker asymmetrical core, stronger cover. You've heard me say this before. Falls right below that Theorem Solid. A lot smoother though. Now we're getting into the symmetrical balls. We have the Ethos Solid, the light blue one. This thing is basically just a baby stealth mode. It is right below a stealth mode. Not by much. Do not get both of them. Only have one or the other, but that's basically the same ball. And speaking of the same ball, the Columbia 300 Pulse is just a red version of the two balls that we mentioned. This thing has such a low RG and such a high diff that it wants to act like a stealth mode, wants to act like an Ethos Solid, just in a red package. Now we're getting into one of the cheaper bowling balls for no reason at all, and that's the GB5. GB5 is really good, a lot cheaper, I believe about 140 bucks on most sites. So this could be your easy bang for your buck ball. This is going to be close to all the other symmetrical ones we mentioned in ball reaction, just that little bit weaker. This one also does really well with polish as well. Next is my personal favorite, the Effect Tour. This is a Baby Envy Tour. It is that little bit quicker. It has a low differential, low RG tour level bowling ball, so it can play from a lot of different spots and will be very, very smooth down lane. Again, my personal favorite in this category. Sticking with hammer, we have the Hammerhead. This is another symmetrical solid right below the other ones we mentioned. This one's about a step or two steps below all of the other ones, symmetrical solids above on this list. Still a really good ball too. Next is the Troublemaker Solid. This is another two steps below the Hammerhead. This is a weaker symmetrical solid bowling ball. Still wants to hook a little earlier, but a lot smoother down lane. A two-handed bowling ball where the core was made for two-handers. One-handers, of course, can still throw it really well, but for a two-hander, this is a core that is made just for those two fingers instead of with the thumb. Coming a little bit below that now is the Anger Solid. The Anger Solid has that really weak anger core, one of the highest RGs in bowling, but it has a strong cover to it, and that makes it a little bit wonky. Really good bowling ball, just a little bit wonky in terms of what it wants to do. Also cheap price. Next is a new one, and that is the Black Widow Tour V1. This is the first time the gas mask core has been altered into being a tour level core, so that drops the differential almost by 50%, but then it keeps the other numbers. It has the same cover stock as the Black Widow 2.0 hybrid, so it wants to get a little further down lane, but still be super smooth. Next is going to be the Ethos Hybrid. The Ethos Hybrid is just like that Ethos Solid we mentioned, but a shiny cover stock to it. Still wants to hook pretty late compared to the other balls on the list, but it is just that little bit later than a Black Widow Hybrid. This ball is also forgotten, but the Ethos line is pretty good. Coming up next is the Super Cuda Power Core. This bowling ball is just kind of there. It's at the end of this list. It hooks a little bit later because it is a hybrid, but it is super smooth down lane, so it's a lot smoother than something like the Ethos Hybrid. Kind of similar to a Black Widow Tour, but if you're going to get one of these two, get the Black Widow Tour. And finally is the No Doubt Solid. The No Doubt Solid acts just like the original No Doubt. It's a shiny solid, but it has the same exact cover, same exact core. So this and the No Doubt are almost the same bowling ball. If you're picking one or the other, just pick whichever one has a cooler color in your opinion. Whew, all right, we're done with the medium and smooth list. We had another ton of bowling balls on that category, but now we're moving to the medium sharp. This generally is symmetrical, shiny bowling balls, and you're going to see a lot of good balls in here, but not as many as the other categories. This is the area that I think Brunswick struggles the most in, is this medium and sharp list. But let's kick it off with ball one. And picking right back where we left off, this is going to be the original No Doubt. This is a pearl version of that No Doubt core. It's a very similar core to the Zen line. A lot of people think they kind of stole it from them. That's a hot topic. We're not going to get into that. But original Radical No Doubt, it's good. It's fine. It's a good house shot ball. It's not as angular as you think it would be, but it does get a little further down lane. It does have that strong core and then that medium-ish cover. Coming up next is the Ebonite Real Time. I see this as one of the best house shot bowling balls from the Brunswick line. Shiny, solid bowling ball, medium-ish core, medium-ish cover, so does basically everything that a good medium smooth ball would do if it was polished, but this ball just comes out of box polished. Next is the tournament bowler's best friend, the GB4 Hybrid. This is, again, a ball that gets further down lane, but is very, very smooth. A ball that I don't see being in production that long. It's a GB4. They're going to be coming out with a GB5 Hybrid sooner rather than later, is my guess. So if you like the GB4 Hybrid, pick it up. Otherwise, it's like 120 bucks. It's on super sale again. Next is one that we already knew wasn't going to do well and not many people have seen much of, the Snapshot Hybrid. It is a hybrid version of that original Snapshot, higher RG core, medium differential, but it does have a stronger hybrid cover stock to it. It probably could go a little higher on the list. I honestly have seen so little about this ball, it's very hard to categorize where it fits. So apologies, this is my most questionable point of the list, where I don't know where the heck this Snapshot Hybrid really goes. But I have seen this ball a lot. That is the Hazmat Pearl from Hammer. The Hazmat Pearl is just a pearl version of that original Hazmat Solid that I personally really liked. It's basically a more angular Gamebreaker 5 Pearl is really how I like to see it. A little more angular, a little bit earlier. It is kind of like a Zen 25 if you're looking at other companies where it is stronger core, stronger cover, still wants to be a little quick down lane. Kind of good house shot ball. I like it best for tournaments though. Now, all the way down here, we actually have an asymmetrical ball, the Theorem Pearl. The Theorem Pearl is really weak, and I don't know why. It seems like that cover isn't even close to what the original Theorem had, but it is a Pearl version of the original Theorem. Not as well liked as the original. It's just a little too directional, where it hits friction, and then you can watch it kind of roll forward after that, where the Theorem was very round. It saw friction, it still rounded off of it, went through the pins a little bit better. This Theorem Pearl, much more directional. Next is one of the most highly advertised Brunswick bowling balls for no reason at all, and that's the Ricochet Pearl. Ricochet Pearl is just an all black Ricochet. It's an okay cover, medium of the road cover, medium of the road core. Again, a very, very round Pearl bowling ball. It's in the same range as the Theorem Pearl, but a lot rounder and just smoother, it seems like, than the Theorem Pearl. So I would personally recommend a Ricochet over the Theorem, depending on who you are. Ricochet is going to be really good for guys who spin the ball a little bit more because it is a smoother pearl ball. Next is one of my personal favorites from the category, the Gamebreaker 5 Pearl. Game Breakers are always some of the best bowling balls in the market because their core is just so good and consistent, and this GB5 Pearl is no different. This is a slower pearl bowling ball, gets a little further down lane, one of the top ones on the list, and also one of the cheapest. It's at like $120 on most sites right now. This is one that you should definitely look for if you need a ball in this category from Brunswick. Next is one that really surprised me as being pretty good, the Piranha Power Core Pearl, all green bowling ball, high differential. I thought it would hook a lot earlier than it does, but the cover must be pretty weak because it gets pretty far down lane and is really angular. So this is actually a pretty good bowling ball if you want skid snap. Speaking of skid snap, we have the Super Cuda Power Core Pearl, the orange and red bowling ball. This one, again, I'm not a fan of the CUDA series. None of them have been that great. This one's pretty good. Again, it's a step below because it has that higher RG, lower differential. It wants to flare less, but also hook later. So it is later than that Piranha Power Core Pearl. But again, it's still a pretty good bowling ball. I don't think you need both. I think one or the other would suffice. Now, again, we are going to one of the most forgotten bowling balls on the list, the Cypher Pearl. I know the X and the Pit guys adore this thing to pieces, but the rest of the population just is very meh towards it. Cypher Pearl looks kind of cool, really low differential, but it is very forward rolling. It's basically the Theorem Pearl, but a step below how strong the Theorem Pearl is. I don't personally recommend this ball. It's just thrown so little, it's hard to say if it's actually good or not. Next is Radical's weakest bowling ball in the Snapshot Pearl. This is, again, just a very angular, very high RG Radical bowling ball. It still has a cover that seems stronger than some of the ones on this list, but it's just another one that is a little bit more forgotten. It just didn't do well sales-wise early on. I'd expect it getting discontinued within the next couple of months, so if you want a Snapshot, pick one up sooner rather than later. Now, this next one is another personal favorite and a fan favorite, and that's the Brunswick Crown Victory. This one's kind of going under the radar. It's a hybrid, really weak bowling ball, but it is good. It's versatile, much more versatile than I would have expected. Highly recommend this Crown Victory if you want something near the bottom of this medium sharp list, or honestly, it can fall into that weak and sharp list if you drill it a little bit weaker. I think this is one of the best ones on this list, though. And then finally is the Deviate Dark Side, really low differential. This was basically just a hybrid version, a shiny version of our Scorpion Low Flare that we all know and love. It's a little too quick for a lot of situations. So if you're someone who's really up the back of it and you need more ball angle down lane, go with a Dark Side. If you spin the ball at all, do not go with a Dark Side. It's a terrible idea then. All right, we are through the biggest four categories from Brunswick. Next, we're moving to the medium or the weak and smooth category, and there are not many bowling balls on this list. Brunswick must have a vendetta against these weak and smoother bowling balls. Last time we did this list back in February and March, we had one ball here. Now we actually tripled it. We're up to three, kind of, because I moved one out of a different category that it was in. Kicking us off with ball number one is going to be the Turbo X. The Turbo X was finally a weak and smooth bowling ball that Brunswick was dropping here. I think it's really good. I think it's decent. It's It's weak and smooth. It's a ball down from everything else we mentioned, the medium smooth category, but it's still pretty smooth. I think this is a great ball if you have a lot of friction on your house shot or you're going to a tournament. You want that smoother reaction, but again, you need it to get further down lane and not burn up too quick. This is a cheaper option. I think this is a really, really good ball that a lot of tournament guys would really love. Coming up next is the Arctic Vibe. The Arctic Vibe has been here forever. Everyone knows and loves it. It is that all white and purple design. Looks gorgeous. Really, really chunky down lane. Just slow and just clunky and just wants to just kind of roll forward. But it is still a weaker bowling ball because that Vibe core is not that strong. The cover on it is not that strong. So it is barely a ball down from the turbo, but way different ball reactions on the lane. And finally, this is the ball we moved from a different category. It's the New Blue. The Hammer New Blue definitely fits in this weak and smooth list. I don't think it acts like a urethane, even if you put it to 500 grit. It's not a urethane. It's a weak and smooth bowling ball, which means I think it's really good for house shots. I think the New Blue is an amazing house shot ball. If you're somebody who throws urethane on a house shot, get a New Blue. It's going to give you higher scores. It's a tough thing where urethane will give you a lot of pocket control. It's not going to give you much carry. This New Blue has a little bit more angle down lane, so it's going to give you that little bit of extra carry to kick out those corner pins. So if you throw your purple on a house shot, try a New Blue instead. That is it for the weak and smooth list. Now we are on the weakest bowling balls in your arsenal, the weak and sharp category. We are kicking it off with my least favorite ball, but the fan favorite is the Torpedo Direct Hit. The Torpedo Direct Hit is a basically plastic cover stock. It is that low friction cover stock. The USB-C actually deemed it as too slow of oil absorption rates to actually be a reactive ball. So it's getting banned in national competitions, which is crazy. But it has that insanely strong torpedo core. If you have this thing, drill it really, really weak. I drilled mine really strong. Terrible idea. It looks awful. People who drill it weaker have a little better luck. But it kind of falls between the weak and smooth and weak and sharp list. Only get this ball if you're insanely rev dominant. If you're speed dominant, do not touch this thing. If you're balanced, do not touch this thing. If you're rev dominant, you probably don't have to touch this thing. But if you're insanely rev dominant and nothing else stays on the right side of the head pin, you might want to try a direct hit. Next, we're going to the Bubblegum Vibe, the pink ball. This ball still hooks a little earlier than you'd expect, but it is still square in the weak and sharp category. A lot of people are liking it right now. It is really, really cheap. A lot of bang for your buck, stronger bowling ball. So really good option, really good colorway. Right below it is the Ivory Rhino Pro, one of the highest RGs in bowling with that two-piece core to it, kind of like the original High Road, makes it a little bit smoother, but it still hooks really, really late and is a middle-of-the-road, weak and sharp, just pearl bowling ball. A lot of people kind of like it. It's all white, which looks pretty cool, but there could be better options. I think it's still one of the best from Brunswick, though. Speaking of better bowling balls, the Hammer Anger is right here. Again, a really high RG, but this one's actually quick down lane. So if you want to stand left, throw right, this is a ball that you can do that with. If you need something for the burn that you can just chuck at the gutter and you know it's going to hook, the Anger is a really good option. Next, I can't believe this ball is still being produced, but it's the Ocean Vibe. It's the previous Pearl Vibe. I don't get why this is here when the Bubblegum is already out. The Ocean Vibe wasn't good. It isn't that great of a ball. It's still technically in production. Just get a Bubblegum if you're looking at an Ocean. It's cool colorway, but the Bubblegum is better. It has HK22. And the weakest bowling ball that the Brunswick brands have to offer is the Fireball, purple and gold. The Pitbull ball is just super, super weak. It's meant for that basically entry-level bowling ball range. I don't see it thrown much. Not many people like it all that much. If you need something this week, they just generally go for a vibe. But this could be one that no one else has if you need something super weak that you grab and you're going to be unique with. And that is all for categorizing all 67 Brunswick bowling balls that are currently in production as of the middle of September. Of course, these bowling balls come and go, so we're going to do another one of these in 6 months, and we have other ones that are either coming out or have already come out, where we do the Motive brand and the Storm brand. So we could do every single bowling ball. After all that is said and done, we will have a giant mega thread of all of the bowling balls pitted against each other. Be ready for that video. It's going to be a doozy. Make sure to subscribe so that you're able to see when that video goes live. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this really long video about all the Brunswick bowling balls. I really hope you learned something. I really hope it helped. But otherwise, thank you. I'll see you on the next one.